And we've got, well, less than 10 minutes before we come to the end of this panel, but I'd love to hear some voice you had in your group. So who'd like to begin?
Hello, I'm Miriam. I was part of Yvette's group. Yvette was the facilitator for our group. I'm from Wellington, New Zealand, and yeah, we had a lot of commonalities about what we discussed, being from different parts of the world. And if I was to take one point only, it would be that becoming more aware of how this takes place in our own societies is quite important. I know, for example, in New Zealand, it's more underlying. And so, you know, bringing that to the surface and actually being more aware, that would probably be just one point from what we discussed. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a valuable point, Miriam. Who's next?
I'll share for my group. The facilitator was Miss Williams, and in our group we mainly tackled the first question in our time. So some of the members have shared that structural violence is rooted from poverty, as well as women being seen as like second-class members in society, and then also sharing that those were one of the two ideas that we have shared in this.
Thank you, Stephanie. Who's next?
Can share that one point there was a reminder in our group to remember that people have will and consciousness as well. Structural violence is very important because it talks about the hidden kind of thoughts that we have and hidden biases, but we also have to bear in mind that the conscious part and will part, we have to remember to take that into account, and also that kind of puts back the responsibility on people for action as well.
Thank you, Ling.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah, in our group, we focus on the question of what actions to take against structural violence. And to summarize, we need to work with young people. We need to be the voice for those who are silenced. Inclusiveness is important, one person at a time. And one member of the group is from the police department. She says that more women should be included. So that's a brief summary. I'm trying to type it here.
Thank you, Ms. Aditi, I see your hand up. Would you like to speak?
Yeah. In our group, we discussed about, the skills that we as individuals have. We should utilize that to, address the issues, and self-reflection in this case is very important. And it is also useful to look at our positionality, because a person who could be marginalized in some context could be, privileged in some other. So we need to read the experiences of other people who write about it, and then also speak up when needed.
Thank you. Anyone else who'd like to report in?
Okay, for our group, can you hear me?
Yes, Michael.
For our group, we looked at various manifestations of structural violence, looking at history of slavery and the continuing injustice among people of color in various countries, like in the UK and Brazil, and in the US, in Australia about people with disability, and in the Philippines about poor people who are negatively affected, especially by the lockdowns. And we look at, in terms of action, the need for deep conversations in society on the historical nature of injustice against people of color, coming up with videos on empathy and conflict, nonviolent conflict resolution, broad consultations among people with disability who are also marginalized, remain members of minority groups, in order to come up with strategies that will address their peculiar needs. And especially for poor people who are particularly negatively affected by the lockdowns, beyond relief operations for poor people negatively affected, we need to look into the economic and income structures that perpetuate their poverty. That's all.
Thank you, Michael. Anyone else?
Yeah, from our group,
Yes.
I would like to, we have discussed on the social structural violence due to, particularly with respect to India, casteism is playing havoc, which is creating a lot of, violence. And other thing is equal opportunity is missing, though it is, advertised, but equal opportunity is missing. And the color discrimination also is there, as how we say south black and north is white or something like that, the color. And then other thing is that we have also discussed about the US George Floyd murder, and then later how a policeman killing a white, and they are licensed to kill, sort of thing, the police. So actually they are licensed to save, rather they are licensed to kill is the thing what's happening. So these are the few things which we discussed. And education should be given equally to everyone, so that everyone will stand on the same platform. But education in the real sense is a stereophonic across the globe, just getting the degrees and qualifications to become a nice executive, to get a good salary. Rather than that, the education should get into a space where moral values, ethical values, human values, these are never taught much in the present scenario of the education, which is the root cause for bringing so much of violence and no inclusive understanding of the things. So these are some certain things which we have discussed.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And I notice we are coming to the end of time, and as we wrap up, Jyoti, if you could put up the second poll, we'd like to quickly check in terms of where you're left with in terms of this conversation. What kind of a space are you in? So if you could respond to that one question that you see up on the screen as we come to a close. And as you do that, Chintan and Jayanto, thank you very much for your sharing and for the questions that you raised. I'm certain that everyone who's been with us here do take back very valuable reflections. And for those of us who participated, or for those of us who are watching us on Facebook, please do continue this conversation within yourself, within your communities, your family and friends, in a way that we as individuals are able to take up our role in peace building. I think for us as Rotary Peace Fellows who are organizers of this conference, our dream is really, if we can engage civilians across the world in the peace process, that would be true empowerment. That will eventually lead to shifting the world. So yeah, please do engage in conversations. I think conversations are practically the only way forward in which we can experience tangible shifts in structural violence and in other issues that we as a world encounter. And with that, we are at the end of time. Just wanted to summarize the responses on the poll. I'm really heartened to say that about 63% of the people that have responded are speaking about working actively to reduce structural violence personally or in the professional space. So thank you for doing your work. May your tribe increase. And 17% who also say that they are an influencer and they have impact in their communities. And well, more power to you. I really hope that your work comes to light and you're able to influence more and more people as we go forward. So thank you for being with us on this panel, and thank you to both our panelists. Of course, we have a lovely lineup of speakers spread throughout the day across time zones. So please do follow the agenda and attend sessions that you would like to, and also invite your friends and family and other people in your community to attend as well. And have a great day ahead, a great evening ahead. And I see Kiran already on his bed. So for people in the US, have a good night's sleep before you come into the conference in your time zone. All right. Thank you for being here, and goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. And I just want to remind you that the next session will begin in less than 15 minutes on the same link on the topic of technology and peace building. So please do join in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys. Thank you.